Hi, everybody. I'm Liz Fisher, as Lakeisha just so kindly introduced. I am an 8th-year graduate student in the IMGP program, which is the Integrated Biomedical Sciences program that replaced the IGMP program. So the Biomedical Sciences has gone through a few changes over the past few years, but I am currently in the lab of Dr. Jim Lechleiter and in the CSA department. And our lab focuses on mechanisms of repair in the brain following stroke and traumatic brain injury. My specific research focuses on how a specific cell in the brain called an astrocyte can be exploited to work better using a drug that we have developed in the lab to help repair the brain better after stroke. So it's kind of what my project is on. If anybody wants to ask later about a little bit more in detail, we can. But just in the spirit of things, I'll get things going. So I was asked to give you a little bit of an idea of what it's like to be a graduate student. So graduate school, you start out, and the first couple of years you're taking classes. So you really want to be done with classes by the end of your second year, maybe a little bit into your third year. But then after that, you start transitioning into your lab. So you choose your lab by doing rotations, and you do rotations in your first year. You do about 3 or 4, depending. And so these are just little mini internships, trials in the lab. So you're checking out the lab, seeing their research. What do they do? Do you like the lab? Do you like the experiments that you're doing on a day-to-day basis? And then also the lab is kind of checking you out too. Do you fit in with the group of people? Because you have to work with these people every day. So it's kind of a mutual trial period. And then after you've done your 4 rotations, you kind of pick wherever you want to go, and hopefully they have money for you. Because there's another part to graduate school in that I actually get paid a small stipend to go to graduate school. I'm not paying to go to graduate school, but that money comes from my mentor's grants. So they have to have the grant money for you to join the lab. So if all of these 3 things align, you like the lab, they like you, they have money, then you get to go. Right? So then you start in that lab, you do your research for a little bit. At the end of your second year, you do what's called a qualifying exam, and that's really just a test to see how you can think like a scientist. Can you think like a scientist? Can you plan experiments? Can you do this sorts of things? And then you're doing some more research, and then you do your dissertation proposal, which is where you do a written and an oral presentation saying, this is what I'm going to do for my thesis. And that may change entirely, but this is the plan. So there you go. And then you do your research for X number of years until you are finished. And then you do your thesis defense, which I am doing my thesis defense in 6 weeks, if you all would like to come. I'm really excited about it. It's taken me a while to get here. But so any number of things can happen in the middle. So one of the things that happened to me, for instance, is about the end of my third year, my mentor accepted a job at the Health Science Center. So originally I started off at a different institution, and my mentor moved. So this happens fairly frequently in science that a primary investigator, the guy or woman who heads the lab, can find a new job and then they go. And as a graduate student, you have an option to go with them or to stay at the institution that you're already at. And if you go, then you lose time because moving is hard. But if you stay, you often end up switching labs and you're switching projects and you're starting all over again. So it's not really the best situation for the students or the postdocs or other people in the lab, but you get to try out a new place. So I got to live in Texas for a while. So I'm originally from North Carolina, by the way. So anyway, so these things can happen. Other things can happen, like, picking a mentor is really important. It's a really important part of graduate school. It's finding somebody that you can work with, because you're working with this person for 5.5 years is the average, and you really have to be able to communicate well with them. But if things happen otherwise, people end up switching labs, which is another thing that happened to me in graduate school. So that's part of the reason why I've been here for 8 years. But it's been a great journey, and I'm really excited to be almost done. But so that's grad school in a mini nutshell. But how I got here, I think, is a combination of 3 things: outreach, mentorship, and just a little bit of luck. So the outreach portion, when I was in 5th grade, I did this Girls in Science program where once a month we went to go have lunch with girls at my school and another school, and we would hear people talk about what they did, what their job was. The only one I can really remember is this meteorologist, and I just thought it was just so awesome and so cool, and I wanted to be like that person. So that's kind of what planted the seed in my mind that, STEM was something that I was interested in. And then I kept pursuing that. I was always pretty good at math and science in school, and just kept continuing with that. And with the mentoring, I always had great science teachers. I don't know, I just got really lucky with really awesome science teachers. They were always really enthusiastic, and the mentor that actually got me started on the path to graduate school was my undergraduate research mentor. So I did research as an undergraduate, and he was just this vibrant personality. He would talk, and he would just move around the classroom, and he would swing his arms, and it was just so engaging, and it was so exciting, and it was so cool. Maybe that's just me. But he got me really excited about science, and I went into his lab and we did research, and it was just a small undergraduate campus, so it was just undergrads doing research, so I got a lot of one-on-one time with him. And he's the one that sort of encouraged me to go to graduate school and encouraged me in the sense that I could do something like graduate school, because my mother's a seamstress, my father's a lumber salesman. I don't really know anything about graduate school when I was in undergrad. That wasn't a path that I thought I was going to take. But he really encouraged me, and with his encouragement, I applied, and I started in graduate school. And that's where I think the luck part comes in, is having those positive mentors and positive role models in my life, because I know that as a woman in science, we don't always get that positive mentorship and that positive reinforcement. So, at starting out in about 4th grade, on average, girls and boys are about equal in their interest in the STEM fields. But when you reach middle school, there's a drastic drop-off in the number of women young girls that are interested in science. And this is due to societal factors or the teachers saying they can't do it or that. And I feel really lucky that I've always had amazing mentors in my life that have encouraged me to pursue something that I wanted to do. And so capping that off with my mentor in undergrad was the best. And until I got to grad school, I had always had the most supportive mentors. And I think that's really what's pushed me through. And with that, we've started the graduate school women. We've started a new group called Wisdom, which is Women in Science Development, Outreach, and Mentorship. And that's really important to me, and that's something that I've joined and we're starting to do outreach in the community. And this is, and mentoring, peer-to-peer support, so supporting my fellow graduate students, getting through those times that may be a little difficult, because we all have them. And then just as a way for me to give back give back that all I felt that I've been given in my time. So, yeah, I think that's it.